So what's going on, everybody? Instagram and friends, YouTubers, for those who are tuning in later on. This is Talented Tuesdays. My name is QuiySpeaks, and Talented Tuesdays is brought to you by the GoldenKey Foundation, developing leaders one step at a time. This week we got my man Nick Augustin over here in the building, a.k.a. Asthmatic. He's gonna tell you a little bit about himself, how he got that name. But real quick, the ground rules, just like I do every week. Keep the comment section clear, positive. We want to keep the negativity out of there. We want people to feel free to, comment questions. As I go on through the show, I have a bunch of questions for Nick, but you can always feel free to ask questions for things that you think I might have missed. And for your people over there, Nick, if they have some questions too, tell them they can even ask as well.
Y'all ask questions.
So without further ado, I'm going to pass the floor to my man Nick, and he's going to introduce himself, tell us a little bit about where he's from and how he got to where he is right now.
All right, so what's up, everybody? What's up to my people as well? My name is Nicholas Augustin. I go by stage name Asthmatic. I guess I'll start with the name explanation. So it's pretty simple. I have asthma. Also, the alternate naming is because I believe that oxygen is really important to our lives. Obviously, oxygen is what gets our bodies going and what keeps us alive. And I really value being able to breathe and being able to be on stage. And breathing is very important when you on stage, whether you're a poet or a rapper or a singer, whatever you are. So Asthmatic is like just me being, it's a symbol of me valuing the fact that I have breath in my lungs.
And you say oxygen being so important, we even neglect the fact that trees produce this for us. And you got wiping on trees left and right. So just wanted to bring that up too. But my bad for butchering your last name too. I realized you said
it's a common mistake. Actually, that name is two ways to pronounce it, because my name is actually Spanish version of the name. Okay. And the French version is actually what you said, Augustin. So, which is weird because I'm actually from Haiti, I'm part Haitian. So it's supposed to be Augustine, but for some reason we got the Spanish names. I don't know what happened with that.
I'm so used to it. My name is Cain, but when people see it spelled, they say Quilliam. So it's like I gotta acknowledge the fact that we have different names, and people tend to butcher it. But I appreciate you for getting on the show. No, for the people who just tuning in, I see y'all. This is Talented Tuesdays. Who missed what this show is about? Basically, this is for the youth and for people who just want to see different types of talents. Oftentimes we think the only types of talents there are you have to be a ball player or you have to be a rapper. Ironically, our guest here is a rapper, but he's also a spoken word artist as well. But on the show we have doctors as well. We have actors, dancers. All different talents. I kind of see talent in everything that we do. So, you can find almost anybody on the show. So, again, I'm going to just open up the show with the first question. And that basically is, how long have you been doing poetry and what made you get into doing poetry?
I've been taking poetry serious probably since the 10th grade. I started a little bit before that, just writing here and there as a kid. But I really started taking it seriously in 10th grade because I had a teacher, well, two reasons. First reason, I had a teacher, Miss Chung. I don't know if she's tuned in. I actually have her on Instagram too, shout out Miss Chung. So I was going through a lot in 10th grade as far as like emotionally, because being the youngest in my class, being 2 years younger than everybody in my class, that was a big challenge for me, just having to find my way as a kid that was becoming a man, becoming a young man, maturing. So poetry has kind of started being my outlet just for me to express my feelings, express my thoughts. And Miss Chung, she really nurtured that. She really had me like, I used to come there after class, show her poetry, show her different things that I was working on in my writing. And it kind of just took off from there. 10th grade, 11th grade. Also had a friend named Shakimo. He used to rap on the bus a lot, and I would, just listening to him freestyle or whatever. It really got me into the rapping thing. I started off wanting to do poetry, but the rap came from that. He used to freestyle on the bus a lot, and I would be sitting there listening, and they had me listening to Matt Miller. That was one of my first artists, was Matt Miller and Mos Def. I used to listen to those two all the time, and then the door kind of opened. I started listening to Christian rap, Lecrae specifically. I started listening to TDE. That's when I started listening to Kendrick, and that's like a whole other story. My fan fiction, or whatever you want to call it, with Kendrick. that's kind of where I kind of took off with it and started to really get heavy into my writing skills and all that stuff.
Okay. If you don't mind, you can go into a little more depth of fan fiction with Kendrick.
So, I mean, me and Kendrick, we have a interesting relationship. I consider him my sensei. I consider him my teacher, even though obviously he don't know me.
Right.
But, I started listening to Kendrick a lot when I was in high school. So pretty much what I did was, I actually started off listening to Ab-Soul. So Ab-Soul and Kendrick, I would listen to them. That was literally all I would listen to. So I started off with the mixtape they had at the time, which I believe was Section 80. And for Ab-Soul, it was his album Control System. So I started listening to those two. And it's, most people just listen to that. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to listen to whatever they got coming up next. But me, I went backwards. So with Ab-Soul, I started listening to Long-Term Mentality, Long-Term 2, Long-Term 1. Going on Dat Piff, when Dat Piff was still popping, I used to be on there looking for, whenever they had old music, I used to look for all their old music. Kendrick, Section 80, then I went back to Overly Dedicated, the EP, C4 mixtape, just listening to that day in, day out, because the reason why is because just the way they structure their rap and the way they structure their writing was really impactful on how I structure my writing now, as far as just being able to use different flows, even when it's talking about the poetry, use different flows, being able to just create, rhyme schemes and wordplay out of like seemingly impossible things.
Right.
Like that's what I do in my poetry now. Like I'll try and connect like bathtub to, I don't know, like sandwich, or just making connections with things that seemingly have no relation to each other. I got that from them, and I listened to them heavy. Like I even got a chance to meet Ab-Soul in person. And like he has this one song called Pineal Gland, where he talks about opening your third eye. And that song in specific, that's my favorite rap song, was really when I started to look at, just the use of words and the power of words itself, and being able to use words in ways that people really never thought to use. So that's kind of where I took off.
So how was that experience when you met Ab-Soul?
It was surreal, man. Like, I was just really in shock. Like he was so humble. Like even though I only interacted with him for like 2-3 minutes, but just sitting there talking to him, he actually signed a dollar bill for me. I have it in my wallet. I keep it in my wallet. But just sitting there talking to him, just saying, hey, nice to meet you. Thanks for everything you've done as far as music. And he's very thankful too. He's a very down to earth person. And that's what I like most about like Kendrick and Ab-Soul, was my two favorite artists. They're just real down to earth and real, chilling. Like talk to them, it's like, like another homie almost. So yeah, it was a great experience, and it was worth it too. I only paid like $60 to meet him and go to a concert afterwards. So it was a great experience.
That's what's up. Great experience. And also, Pete, that you mentioned when you started with Section 80, and what was Ab-Soul's first album that you heard?
Control System.
Control System. You went backwards instead of saying, hey, I'm going to listen to what they got next. I feel as though that way you can also appreciate those artists' growth, like where they started and like what they produce with those albums. And even now, going forward, what they're producing now. But, the next question would be, when you first started writing poetry, did you find yourself in a very vulnerable place? Did you find it hard for you to share those expressions and to share those creations that you put on the paper?
Yeah, definitely. That was one of the most difficult things for me, was actually being able to share with other people what I wrote, because a lot of it was coming from a dark place, like just difficulties in my relationships with like my dad, or difficulties in my relationships with whoever I was around, like especially trying to talk to girls and stuff. That really drove for me to start rapping and start writing, was like I was really in an really emotional place. So it was difficult for me to like tell people like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Even through poetry, like even showing my mom, it was difficult. I never used to show her anything that I wrote at first. I used to just keep it to myself, or sometimes I'd write it and throw it away. Like I have a couple poems like they're lost in the house because I just kind of forgot about them, or I just, kind of say, I don't want to deal with this, you know what I'm saying? So I used to write and throw stuff away, but eventually I was like, I got to share this. Because somebody else might be going through the same thing I'm going through, which actually came to realize not too long ago. It was 2016. I had performed a piece And this random dude, he was an old, like 40-something-year-old white guy, came up to me crying. Like he's like, yo, your piece really spoke to me. Like I really needed that positive energy in my life because because of what I've gone through and what I've experienced. I'm just like, for me as a young black dude, like for this old white guy to come up to me and crying like, hey man, I really like your poetry. I was like, that's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So
do you remember what the piece was?
Yeah. It's this piece called Out of Dirt. It's actually one of my favorite pieces. I wrote it for a album release party that one of my mom's friends is having. This is a poem about forgiveness, about accepting yourself and being able to put your trust in God's hands, and being able to just accept yourself for who you are and not be afraid to have flaws, pretty much.
So with that being said, who kind of is a big, I know we talked about Kendrick and Ab-Soul a lot, and on the rap side, would you also say that they've influenced your poetry as well, or do you kind of take those things as hand in hand, kind of one and the same?
They influence my poetry as well, especially Kendrick because of the topics he talks about. But I do have a couple poets, Genetics, Christian poet, Ezekiel, he's also a Christian poet. Also, just people on campus, some of my friends on campus. I got my man, Courtney. He's also another FIU artist. Shout out to Courtney. And John is another FIU artist. You interviewed him, so you know about John. Those two especially on the poetry side really influenced me, because coming to campus, it was kind of like, I didn't know what the scene was like, especially being at a predominantly Hispanic school. There's not a lot of poets out here. So just seeing them being able to interact with the people, as far as like, they're excellent performers. I think some of the best performers I ever seen was those two, especially together and alone. They're really great performers. So as far as like my delivery, as far as like being able to go in front of people and share what I got, those two have really influenced me a lot. As far as my actual writing, I try not to listen to anybody when I write, only because I don't want to be a copycat of somebody else. I kind of try to find myself through my writing. Right. So as far as like my actual writing skills and actual structuring of my poems, I would definitely say would be like a Kendrick or and a Mos Def. Definitely influenced that on that side of the spectrum as far as my skills.
And do you have any other hobbies besides poetry, or is poetry kind of life?
Besides poetry, I don't really say I have any. I think, well, actually, yeah, I do. I lied. So my other hobby is reading. Like I was telling you about, I love to read books. I just started recently picking up, different books just about African history, about Black history, Black American history. To date, since last year, beginning of last year, I've actually read through at least like 10 different books. And I just, whenever I get the chance, I like to sit down and read about anything and everything that I feel like will help me and educate me. So especially Black history books, my favorite kind to read. Nonfiction. I also like fiction novels, like Richard Wright is one of my favorite authors. Okay. Zora Neale, of course, W.E.B. Du Bois, people like that who, Langston Hughes. I also love his poetry and his short stories.
Yo, shout out to you for bringing up the reading, man. One thing I think is important is I think schools need to bring back independent reading. Remember, once upon a time, there was a section in class where your teacher will tell you guys to bring in a book that you're interested in reading and give you all that time dedicated to just reading that. I think that's so important, because that's how we work on finding our own truths. Yeah. Because instead of being always spoon-fed information and being taught to regurgitate that information to pass a test, I feel like independent reading is so important. And that's kind of the reason why I got this on my shirt. If y'all can't see it, it says learning is unlearning. And that's so important. Yeah, man, it's so important. So just kind of like switching gears. So what steps did you take as an artist to really get yourself out there and make yourself more known in what you do?
So actually it wasn't much of a strategy, but it worked. Pretty much just performing, putting myself in front of people I didn't know. Last year I was at maybe I think it was like 700 followers towards the end of last year when I came back from one of my internships. And I was just kind of like, you know what, before I leave FIU, I need to put myself out there. I need to let people know how I feel, what's on my mind, just because I see that the campus kind of needs it, especially now we're kind of in a low point as far as like the Black culture on this campus. So it just came down to like, how am I gonna put myself out there? I've literally looked up open mics. There was one point I was performing every week, and I kind of just grew from there. Some events I get like 10 followers, 5 followers here and there. Some events, I remember there was one event I did with HSO, Haitian Student Organization, shout out to them, and I got like 30 followers that one day, just off of like spitting pieces that I had sitting for years. You know what I'm saying? So just literally just putting myself out there. I started doing Fury Fridays where I do rap videos. Just putting myself out there constantly, like, you know, consistently putting new material out, or even old material, you know, delivering it in new ways to people. That's it.
So we got a question. The name looks familiar, but you know, Dr. TJ3 asked if you listened to Lecrae.
Oh yeah.
I was about to say, I figured the name seemed familiar, and I thought you might have mentioned Lecrae.
Lecrae also huge in my growth as an artist, just because I have that Southern Baptist raised. So him, I've been listening to him since his first album as well, which is Real Talk. Ironic, because that's like one of my favorite things to say is Real Talk.
Real Talk.
So yeah, Lecrae is huge. Just his ability to talk about the gospel in his art without making it like almost too heavy with it, because I feel like, especially with a lot of Christian artists, not that they talk too much about God, because you can't talk about God too much, but the way they deliver it is like people. It's like you
still got to give the people what they want, even if the message not going to be necessarily what they want to hear.
Yeah,
the way you deliver it is important.
Exactly.
Yeah, me and my dad were just talking about that this morning.
So him is like, Lecrae delivers his message in such a way where it's like, I feel like he's kind of watered himself down recently, but especially his old music, I feel like he delivered the message in such a way where people really received it. Because it's like, you make music for people who are already educated. It's like you're preaching to the choir. It's like people are gonna, you know, you're gonna receive it, they're gonna listen to it, oh yeah, but if you delivering your music to people who already have the gospel, already have the message, and even just on more in a general sense, they already know about Black culture, they already know what's going on. You know, you're only gonna reach so many people, but if you're delivering this same message to people who don't have it already, and in such a way where they can receive that message, you're gonna grow even more.
I agree, and I think you might even have a question over there on your story.
Am I gonna drop a spoken? Wow. So yeah, am I gonna drop a spoken word project soon? So that is actually in the works. I'm not sure when I'm gonna drop it. I'm still trying to get my following up right now. But as far as spoken word project, I do want to explore that route. I'm definitely looking into putting some on Spotify soon. Maybe even have a mixtape going or something like that. So I'm looking into doing a spoken word project as well as a rap project in the near future. So y'all can stay tuned for that.
Okay, for sure. And we got another question on this end. Miss a.k.a. 85 asked, how long have you been performing spoken word in front of audiences?
Performing around the same time that I started actually writing. I started performing almost immediately. I'll probably say a year after. So around junior year, senior year high school. My first performance that I can remember was actually an R&B song that I wrote. Just bored, sitting in my room, I was writing and taught myself how to play the piano or whatever. I don't know. I don't play piano at all, by the way, but that song I could play because I made it from scratch. So around 11th grade.
I think your joint might be paused too.
Oh, snap. I was SoundCloud tripping.
All right.
But yeah, so yeah, I actually started performing spoken word probably more so in college, but performing in front of people, my own original content I've been doing since high school. As far as performing in general, I've been performing since I was three. And at church for the most part. I was in a choir. We actually toured Washington, D.C. and New York when I was in elementary school. But my own original content started off in high school.
That's what's up. It's always a blessing to be able to have that confidence to perform in front of audiences. I know for me, like I started writing as early as middle school. Yeah. But it wasn't until college that I really started to be able to perform in front of audiences. So like I had a whole bunch of poems that I was just, I could use this, I could use that, I could memorize this, and start spitting from there. It wasn't until I became part of the Cheney University Poetry and Song Group, CUPS, where I started to see other people like myself who were new with this, and they would be on their phones. I'm like, I don't always have to memorize it. Now that added to my confidence as well. So I could just practice reading off my phone in front of crowds and stuff like that. Though now I don't really like that, reading off the phone. I try to stay away from that.
I hate reading on my phone. Because you miss a lot of crowd interaction. You miss a lot of like
delivery too.
Yeah, delivery is bad, and not just that. It's like the crowd gets kind of shorthanded from it simply because it's like if you're not looking at them, it's like they're not gonna receive the poem the same way. Even if your delivery is on point, even if your voice is good, like if you're reading, it's like they're getting the short end of the stick too. It's kind of like a lose-lose when you read off your phone.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. So we got some claps with the Spotify. So touching on that, y'all recently, you and the Iotas recently had an open mic night at FIU. So how would you say, because that's in tune with what you do, how would you say that your undergrad experience played a part with your development as an artist, or you're playing development as who you are right now?
I definitely say my undergrad experience taught me a lot about being independent, taught me a lot about thinking for myself, and just not accepting what is spoon-fed to me. Just being in school and seeing how teachers teach kids nowadays, even in college, is like, it's not working. It wasn't working for me. So I got to a point where like I really got to start thinking for myself. I really got to start becoming a free thinker and figure out how I'm gonna encourage others to become free thinkers too. So college it was kind of a negative encouragement in a way. Like I seen how college is, and I was like, I don't want to be just a college kid anymore. I thought that's what I wanted to be. I thought that was the goal, but when I actually got here, it was like, this is not working. You know what I'm saying? This is not gonna be able to positively affect me in the long run. Like I can't raise my kids like this. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's how it really helped me. Also just giving me a platform to find people like myself. Cause I never really was around a lot of black people growing up outside of like church, but like in school, which is where you spend most of your time as a kid. I really wasn't.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah, so I really wasn't spending time with my own kind of people. So going to college and being able to find those people, even though it's still mostly Hispanic people here, being able to find people that I can actually gel with and actually learn from, just give me the platform to reach those people. I think is the big thing I've gotten from being here.
Okay, and I see we got a new viewer. Shout out to Candace on the show. Candace, I ain't forget about you either. You definitely got to be a guest on the show one day. We're going to get you in here. So Candace actually has a question, and that is, what school do you attend?
Oh, I go to Florida International University. It's down in Miami. Well, this is technically Tamiami, Florida, but Miami, Florida, if you want to call it that. I'm a senior studying mechanical engineering, and I'll be graduating this fall, actually.
Hey, congratulations, man. Also, you just told me about an internship. Is it an internship?
Yeah. So I'm doing an internship with Fiat Chrysler up in Auburn Hills, Michigan. I'll be living in Detroit, but it's a Metro Detroit area. This will be my fourth internship that I'm going into this summer.
That's what's up, man.
So a lot of fun. If anybody's from Detroit, shout out to y'all. I'm gonna be up in your area trying to spread the good news about Asthmatic.
Hey, congratulations on that move too.
Yeah, thank you.
So, reflecting on your early performances to where you are now, how would you say your growth has shown in your delivery and being a public speaker, and in what ways did you improve your ability to be a public speaker?
Well, how it has shown, definitely just more confidence in how I speak to people. being able to project my voice better. Again, going back to my name being asthmatic, being able to breathe when I'm on stage, being able to actually, just relax on stage and not be afraid to go in front of people. I think my delivery has improved by leaps and bounds. Because I'm one of those people who stand still on stage. So just being able to move around on stage, being able to look at this person, look at that person, go back and forth, I think is how I've improved mostly. My writing skills, I think it still has a long way to go. As far as my actual content, I've seen growth as far as just having a diverse set of flows, and just having a diverse set of word diction and word usage and verbiage. Being able to use words in different ways has really helped me improve. Because when you first start writing, it's like, you write one way, and a lot of poets have that same flow over and over. So just experimenting with my words, experimenting with my topics. I've recently gotten a lot into writing pieces with multiple characters in the same topic. So I have a piece now that I'm working on. Actually, it's a song called Getaway, which I might release this summer, but we'll see what happens. Where it's actually two different perspectives of the same topic. So just exploring, my own mind and figuring out, kind of things that haven't been done before by artists. Just trying to find those ways to deliver, the topics that are necessary to be talked about, topics that are popular, but trying to find different ways to deliver those topics is how I've really grown. And you said how I've done it?
Yeah.
How I've done it, honestly, I just stopped caring about what people think. I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is not worrying about what people will say, not being afraid on the stage. I'm so confident at this point in what I can do and my abilities. I'm not afraid to show, you could put, not this president, but you could put the last president in front of me. And I'll be able to, deliver a piece, and I'm confident. I'm just that confident in myself at this point. That's even if I do mess up, even if I do fail, it's I think the only real failure you ever have is not trying. Which is a poem I actually learned when I was, joining my fraternity. Part of the poem was the only failure that ever exists is not trying, not giving out your best effort.
Exactly.
So definitely just not caring, just going on stage and just blacking out every time has definitely helped me to explore myself and explore what I can do and the limits of my talents.
So have you ever tried icebreakers or something right before you get on stage or right before you start a piece that get you more comfortable and get the crowd warmed up a little before you spit?
No, not so much. I normally what I do is I just come on stage, and I just try to come on stage real humble and just with a warm attitude, just to get people comfortable with me. I don't like walking on stage feeling like I'm the shit.
No, I was going to actually, it's funny that you say that actual phrase, because I was going to mention one of our guests, Ivany. She was saying one of the things that she done, and I even tried it when I got nervous to go up and spit a piece, was, just tell yourself, you the shit. And that's what she said. Yeah.
No, that works for some people, and I support that, because that's the mentality you should have. But for me, I try and walk on the stage like I'm humble, like I'm an average Joe, like everybody else. I do have a couple of pieces that I use as introduction pieces. I have two pieces specifically. One's Mr. Amazing, which I wrote this year, and one I wrote was actually the first piece I ever performed at FIU, called I'm Not My Hair. That one's a little bit of a not darker, but a little bit more of a serious piece. And Mr. Amazing is more or less me having fun. But depending on the crowd, I use either or. And also, another thing that I've learned to do is kind of introduce myself in the piece itself. So instead of saying, oh, walk on stage and I have an introduction, I'll just
start spitting.
Yeah, I'll start spitting, or I'll be like, hey, my name's Asthmatic, chilling, whatever. And when I start spitting, people are like, the first couple of bars is what gets people hooked. You know, that's what I've been really working on. Like I have one piece in specific called Stupid Thick, and the poem literally just starts off, she was stupid thick, you know, but just the way I deliver it every time is like people just go crazy. I don't know.
And from now on, after that,
once I got it, it's like that's it, you know. So that's really what I've been working on, is just trying to integrate my own personality and trying to integrate myself into the pieces itself, not just delivering a character, because a lot of people when they go on stage they try and get into a character, which I do too, but I try and get into character and be myself at the same time. So it's like kind of like a dual attack, where it's like this is a Nick, but it really is at the same time. Like this is just another side we haven't seen. So just trying to be multifaceted in my performances and trying to be very dynamic in what I do.
Okay, and then you know, introduction pieces are kind of like, for me, that's new. And shout out to John. You know John. Yeah. He has a introduction
my name's
piece.
Just John.
Yeah, and that, when I heard him spit that, I was like, yo, maybe I should try that as a way for me to, you know, warm up to the crowd, and then instead of doing the same bland introduction like my name is such and such, you know, do an introduction piece. So that kind of like inspired one of the introduction pieces that I do as well. But you know, actually we got two questions that came back to back like rapid fire. So if you could real quickly answer where are you from originally, and then answer do you use vocal exercises? Okay.
Where I'm from originally, I'm from here. I was born in Opelika at Jackson North Hospital. It's no longer there. Yeah, I was born here. My mom is from Kingston, Jamaica, and my dad's from not Port-au-Prince, Pétionville in Haiti. So that's kind of my background, Jamaican and Haitian by blood. Vocal exercises. Yeah. I don't use vocal exercises, but I need to, because as you can hear, my voice is currently hoarse a little bit. So yeah, especially because I sing as well, and I sing in a couple of my poems. Vocal exercises, shout out to those. They're really important. I don't use them, but I definitely need to start, because I know a lot of them I just never think to use them just because I guess I don't care about my body.
Yeah, man. I reached out to my dad because I was thinking the same thing recently too. My dad does like vocal exercises, but he also, you know, he has like remedies to take care of his voice longer too.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of those.
I know ginseng helps.
Yep.
Ginseng teas and stuff like that.
Yeah, ginseng. There's peppermint. You got like ginger and honey. Ginger and honey is good too, or ginger and lemon. Lemon juice is good too for that.
So when did you know that actually I'm gonna flip it. So did you use now that you're comfortable with public speaking, through your art, have you ever thought of using your voice also, you know, just to speak to students or to speak to different crowds, but outside of poetry and stuff like that?
Yeah, I haven't started yet. That's one thing, especially when I graduate, that I want to do, especially on weekends, is mentoring. Like I even, cause I'm the oldest of 5 siblings, so just even talking to them and mentoring them and giving them advice, especially my little sister, who's starting high school next year. That's been one thing that's been big for me, is being able to give my knowledge back to people who are younger than me, people who don't have the access to that knowledge, don't have the access to, or that they do have the access, but they don't know they have the access, which goes back to the whole reading thing. Just being able to read books and self-educate is big for me. So I definitely want to start that. I'm actually thinking about starting a book club on Instagram, just to get people to start reading books about Black history, just, you know, giving people access. There's actually, I don't remember the name of the guy, but there's actually this guy who put a link on Google Drive. It's like literally like a whole Black education library. It's crazy. Like, I'll send you the link, so if you want to share with your followers.
For sure.
But I have it saved on my computer. It's like literally like anything you want to know about Black history. Then like I checked, because like I have a couple of the books that he has in his library. Like I was looking for him, like, oh, you got this, you got this. Like, so just self-educating. Also going to mental health. Just being able to deal with lack of confidence. I think that's big in the Black community. It's big in, you know, community in general, but especially in the Black community with the political climate we have. Just being confident in yourself, being able to love yourself, and being able to walk out the house and say, you know, hey, I got this. I think is one thing that we're lacking, and one thing that I want to share with kids who are younger than me, people my age even, And it's not just poetry, it's outside. It goes outside of poetry. Like, whenever I get the chance, whoever I talk to, I try to talk to them about, just being confident in yourself, being educated in yourself, and know who you are. So yeah, I've considered it. I don't have a platform for it right now. It's something I got to create for myself. But it's definitely something that I've been looking into recently.
For those who want to take that message, self-love is important. J. Cole said, "Love yourself, girl, or nobody will." So that's important. So for you guys, and even for you guys over there, we getting ready to close the question section of the show. So feel free to add your last couple questions. Anything that you have in mind, feel free to comment that. Let's get those questions out of there. I have one more question for Nick, and then I'm gonna pass the floor for him. You said you're still gonna do a piece for us.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna pass the floor for him to give him the last bit to do his piece. But the question that I have for you is, this is something I ask every week to all the guests, and it's the red pill or the blue pill. So the red pill is you go forward 10 years and you have instantly $5 million liquid in your bank account. Whereas you take the blue pill and you go back 10 years, but you know everything that you know now. Which pill would you take?
Oh, jeez. I'd probably say the blue pill. Only because I think I would live my life almost the same way. But there's things that I do better, especially like when it comes to my relationship. There are definitely things that I would have done better than I have. Also, just with my poetry, I think I would have started writing a lot younger. And I would have started building my platform a lot younger to be able to get to where I am now even quicker. So yeah, I'd definitely go back in time. I think I can get to the 5 million anyways without having somebody give it to me. So.
Right. Okay. And that's self-confidence is important, man.
So
definitely. That's pretty much the consensus. Well, I can't even say that that's the consensus anymore. It's so far, as of lately, a lot of people have been saying red pill, a lot of people saying blue pill. I think by now it's kind of like 50-50. But when I first started the show, the consensus was blue pill, blue pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
Then once one person said red pill, a lot of people started saying red pill, and there are reasons why for that.
Yeah.
So, we got some comments: mentoring, clap, 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 confidence. Also, Ms. a.k.a. 85 mentioned that slippery elm bark tea is good for the throat as well. So
slippery elm bark tea.
Yeah, so for those vocals.
I remember that.
Also, if you don't mind, if you could leave some advice for the youth or even people that are aspiring to tap into their creative self and want to get out there, what advice would you leave for them?
Simple, just do it. Don't not do it. Like, literally, it sounds funny saying it, but like, don't limit yourself. Whatever you feel is on your heart, write it down. Even if you don't want to perform it, even if you want to throw it away, or don't throw it away, but even if you don't want to show it to people, write it down, draw it, sing it, paint it, whatever you want. Do it. Even if it's crap, like, do it. Because at the end of the day, you never know how talented you are, for one, and two, you never know who you can affect, who you can impact, and who you can, whose life you can change, and you never know, what you can do for yourself. Because one thing about art is that it frees up a lot that goes on. It frees up a lot of the stuff that you hold inside. So just let it out. Let it out unapologetically.
Yeah, great advice. And before I pass the floor over to Nick for his piece, at the end of the show, I typically use this time to share like local brands and local businesses. Last week I was rocking Royal Pieces. Today I'm not rocking a local brand. Today I just wanted to rock my new QuiySpeaks TV shirt that I just got. Check out the YouTube channel, QuiySpeaks TV. You can also check us out to see past episodes of Talented Tuesdays, as well as other videos that focus on basically unlearning the things that we've been taught that may not be accurate historically. So we talk about misogyny, we talk about rap culture, to all kinds of things. So check out the channel. We also got a thing called 60 Seconds of Wisdom, where I just want to offer motivational pieces for people who just having a tough time getting through. But so that's this week. Next week, just tune in next week to see what local brand we're going to be rocking on the show. But without further ado, I'm gonna pass the floor to my man Nick. I'm gonna let you get in the middle actually, so I'm gonna move this chair out of here, and then and I'm gonna get started. And the floor is yours.
All right.
So just give me some time to. I'm gonna stop this one, and then start it over. So,
all right. Cool.
There we go. And you basically said.
All right. I don't give too much of a disclaimer. This piece called Mr. Amazing. It's one of my intro pieces. Hope y'all like it. All right. Notorious for my big flow. Man, I'm something like where Cardi be. Asthmatic got a big bad wolf huffing and puffing. Somebody check those arteries, cause if you trying to blow me away, you had better do some cardio. See, I'm really rocking on them with no effort, and that's Playboy cardio. I really do it with no effort though. Like I'm T Grizzly. I put a bear on an RIP shirt. Now that's a T Grizzly. No weapon shall prosper. You don't want war. They call me Bruce Leroy the way I bite down on swords. I'm too nice with it. Somebody should have told you. These double-edged double entendres, they will fold you into something like I'm making paper art. I might start charging for these bars, man, and call it paper art. Or I just have you hauling when I move in. Way I architected Jay-Z rechecking the blueprints. Nas hit his nastiness and he calling it ill. I mess around and properly educate Miss Lauryn Hill. Got Yeezy like, yo, this ain't no human being, dude. Got Cuddy like that. There is a man on the moon. I make lemonade out of lemons, have the queen bee buzzing while they go back in time and write albums about something. Preach on the track. J. Cole confessing his sins. Cali grateful because another Miami boy getting wins. Outcast sniffing around when I put some stank on you. Dr. Dre so paranoid he stopped hitting that chronic. I had Kendrick like damn when I finished my set. Stevie wondering what's next. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait. Stevie Wonder? You ain't seen, man, that ain't even heavy. Mom delivered me on my due date. I was born ready, and she was pregnant in her classes, so I was born clever. Pops passed on his dark skin to me, so I was born better, and I'm way too proud to care if you ain't like that last bar. My GPS stay rerouting because I love to take it too far. I love to push the envelope like I'm delivering mails. Treat competition like my sons and I'm delivering mails, which explains why your boy always rocking dad hats. Always rocking dad hats. Wallets like an angry sumo, pockets getting mad fat, but this is more than just poetry. I'm here to rock your mind. Straight iron on the mic, but the hook leave a tingle in your spine. I'm here to make you nervous, or in layman's terms, leave you shook. I work the pot so good, could teach Gordon Ramsay how to cook, and I set fire alarms off in Hell's Kitchen, have them stumbling, trying to go where I take it like y'all tripping in this game called life. But me, never phase. I just leave you lost in the field, or in other words, amazed. Breathe easy.
Hey. Every time I hear that thing, you did that's the one you did that no filter.
Yeah.
And you ain't bring it back this time, but you had to bring it back. And you did the Stevie Wonder part. You had to bring it back to all the, my God, that's a piece. But hey, you got the fire emojis. Everybody loving the piece.
Bless up.
So use this time right now to plug yourself in. Let us know, let everybody know where to find you and everything like that.
All right. So Instagram is pretty simple. It's the number 5, the word star _ Nick. That's 5star _ Nick. I also have a poetry page that's in the bio called Just an Asthmatic. I just post like short poems that I write when I get bored or whatever. It's a little page that I have on the side. You can also find me on SoundCloud, Just an Asthmatic. Find me on YouTube as well. All that stuff is in my bio. I got some songs out, some rap songs on my SoundCloud right now. So if you click the link in the bio, you can check those out. I got Snapchat link in the bio. Everything is on Instagram. So 5star _ Nick, and you can find all my other stuff there. Hit me up in the DMs if you want. I'm always willing to answer questions, or just if you need some advice, if you want to know about any books that I'm reading, definitely hit me up. Shout out to all my homies. Shout out to Bae. She just said yes to the ring on Sunday, so shout out to Bae for that. She also graduated yesterday. Yeah, that's about it. Great. Yeah, you got it right. 5star _ Nick. That's it right there. Shout out to the frat. Shout out to Chino. If you need a haircut, if you live in Miami, you need a haircut. Shout out to Chino. Get you right. You know what I'm saying? Get you right. Who else? Shout out to my dad. Shout out to my little sister. I'm starting to mentor her. She's also writing poetry as well. Apparently she has a clothing brand. I'm like, might give you some stuff to show. She actually texted me about that today. Shout out to who else? Shout out to my big bro Johnny. Shout out to my best friend Nate. That's it.
Hey. And if y'all tuned in a little bit late and you want to see this full episode, you can feel free to subscribe at QuiySpeaks TV on YouTube, and all the episodes will be up. You can find all full episodes of this episode and previous episodes all on the YouTube channel, as well as other content as well. So feel free to subscribe to QuiySpeaks TV on YouTube. Feel free to follow my man Nick at 5star_Nick. Check out his poetry, check out his projects. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Talented Tuesdays. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Talented Tuesdays as well.
Shout out to y'all.
Brought to you by the GoldenKey Foundation, developing leaders one step at a time. Thank you, and we're out.